Alright, I'll be honest, it is currently 9:01 p.m. at night. I am a little tired. I did a lot today, but doing this was not on my bucket list today. So, I am just gonna get it over with. So this thing is 21 pages long, by the way. I hope you guys realize that. It's long. So this is called The Talk, in parentheses, real. Douglas enters. Howdy, partner. Howdy, partner. It truly has been a while, hasn't it? How are things? Good? That's nice to hear. I myself have been down in the dumps. Misinformation enters. Good morning, Neighborville! Misinformation leaves. Douglas. Douglas. Oh my god. Douglas. Look, partner. I have to be honest with you about something. I have some news. And they're quite odd, I have to admit. Last time we met, things went under. Our reunion this time is under much more tame circumstances. Our meetings, they tend to be messed up, don't they? Frankly, I don't understand what kind of black magic that was. All of those pop culture references. You think that was enough? I mean, we started off in the Sponges world 2 years ago. That was fine. Pretty enjoyable. I was quite fond of the sniffer fella. But then, it's like something was lost along the way. I remember all the treasured memories. Misinformation enters. Good morning, Neighbor Bill. Misinformation leaves. Douglas. When we defeated the Stombot security system, a tear rolled down my cheek. It's a moment of my life I think about frequently. That's how it's like to be trapped in here. You appreciate the little things, like our talk right now. You know, I have to say something else. That's important, so listen up. Some higher beings, I don't know what they are. They told me to tell you something. Something really important. Our meeting was scheduled as planned, but the huge event this year, the iconic event that happened years thus far, where realities converge, well, apparently something was planned this year too. Not quite the same type of event, but something else. But in the end, it's not coming today. It was moved a few days later. For what reasons, I don't know. Apparently, you cannot rush art. These higher beings confused me. Why break tradition? You establish that every year, on this day, something huge happens, and I'm able to speak to you. Well, I guess that much is still true. But whatever these beings have in store, it better be good. They broke tradition for nothing! Va! In a few days, they better not disappoint. But you know what? The mere fact I'm here, talking to you still, it gives me hope that perhaps there is more to life than the void. Sometimes I wonder, am I real? Do I really exist? Sometimes it all feels like a cruel game. Oftentimes, it makes no rhyme or reason. Breaking Bad, SpongeBob, FNAF, such meaningless words. As if they were thrown together by a bunch of people with the humor of a 12-year-old. But that does beg the question, what am I, truly, at my core? Do you ever feel like a bunch of pixels on the screen? It's a unique sensation. Almost as if I'm trapped in some kind of Plants vs. Zombies 2 trademarked Reflourished. My existence is tied to a mere modification of some mobile game. It's almost as if I'm not real. Do you feel real? Have you ever really asked yourself that? How real are your fingers? What does it truly mean to be real? I mean, you're part of my consciousness, my worldview. You're as real to me as the shirt I'm wearing. I too believe I am real, if you are able to perceive me. Does it matter what form I take to explain that? You have a lot of time to think about things like this in the void. I miss our time together, exchanging dialogue like this. Even though I cannot perceive you or hear from you from the other side, I still know you're real, hearing my words out there somewhere. I hope they make an impact. Don't forget about me. You will always be in my heart. Misinformation enters. Good morning, Neighbor Bill. Misinformation leaves. Douglas, that being said, I truly cherish our current meeting. I want you. Misinformation enters. Misinformation leaves. Here are neat tidbits about me. I had particularly nasty high school years back in 2017, all because one of the students was such a genuine problem. The faculty tried to half-heartedly create some anti-bullying squad in an attempt to combat him. The guy couldn't take a hint though. I suppose I can call myself lucky. I was never at the other end of his nasty streak of bullying myself. Though I did witness some misbehaviors from a distance during those times. He's a big brutish guy, greedy bastard. We call him Hunter Rienli, going around verbally harassing the girls in my class. He'll take one look at those girls and proclaim, "Your boobies makes my wee-wee go zoom. Burn my children for me, sexy cow." Yeah, just from that snippet, you can tell the guy is not the sharpest tool in the shed. He can barely speak legible English. And it all came from the family you see. I saw his dad once when they called him up to school. Fat idiot had those general camo pants and a buzz cut. The type of guy you know who just poisons himself by watching misinformation on Fox News all day. Misinformation enters. Good morning, neighbor Bill. Misinformation leaves. Douglas. The teacher told him that his kid got into trouble, but he just dismissed it, saying that he don't want no pansy as a son anyway. The school babied up their students too much, he says. Just like how the government is babying up all of us to create a nanny state. What an absolute nightmare that family was. That does remind me of another family though. Have you ever heard of Somber Bartholomew Sambas? I watched some of his content. Boring as Spooky Dookie. Apparently, his father owns C Corp. That's right, you didn't expect Lord Ross in this dialogue, did you? Apparently, the guy's called Sombillion or something. Such a stupid name. But then again, he named Sombert Sombert. I would have called him Awesome Pants. It's what the chirps have told me. They've also told me that the other companies of Sambas, or whatever the heck they are, you know, those NPC fellas, as they're often referred to by some did, because they apparently can't think for themselves, are creating quite a ruckus. I'd say it's more of a flukes, but less of an Among Us type of situation. You know, there are so many importers among Sambas' ranks. It's like they all want to murk the guy. And for what? Aligning himself with the hip popular character Plankton? Misinformation enters. Misinformation. Sheldon J _2 Plankton _3, most commonly known as Plankton, is one of the 10 main characters of the SpongeBob SquarePants franchise. 4. He is a planktonic cokepot who runs the Chum Bucket restaurant, alongside Karen, a waterproof computer who is his sidekick and wife. The Chum Bucket is unpopular in Bikini Bottom because it serves chum, a type of bait made from fish meat. 5. Plankton is a deeply morally complex and wounded character and he cannibalized. Misinformation leaves. Douglas. Yeah, seems like all of those guys, including Misinformation, all lost their way to turn on Sambas like that. I have never lost my way though. I've had a burning passion in my heart for you since the day we met. Do you know who did lose their way? Lost City zombies. Misinformation enters. Misinformation. Oh my god, hold on. Misinformation. Lost City is the 8th world in Plants vs. Zombies 2 Reflourished. It contains 42 levels, including 10 expansion levels, 7 planets to unlock, and 19 zombies to encounter. It is also the worst world in the game, as commented by the expert, Pickle Minkle, SomTube analysis content creator. The world really took a nosedive when they introduced the Clapper zombie type. You can find the full analysis video, Why the Lost City Clapper Sucks and I Hate It, in parentheses 11 minutes and 20 seconds, on the following link. https //youtube.b/thqmrh8cn4q !si equals nfb _v_e ynwe80ypc. Misinformation leaves. Douglas, I've had a burning fascination with the color of your eyes. Wanna see some cool tricks? Now I know exactly how to skateboard. I've been practicing my quote-unquote skills. It's good to start over to be able to skateboard, because I remember everything, brother. I used to skateboard too. When a man skateboards, doesn't skateboard with anyone. I held onto my skateboards because I didn't want to show off my skateboards, since I was there just to skateboard and learn a little more about skateboarding. They say it's impossible to find a skateboard without losing it. But for those who have a skateboard mindset, the impossible is just a matter of having a skateboard. And skateboards know that. Only skateboards know. And skateboards know that. Only skateboards know. Oh my god! I wish you all the skateboards, because we need skateboards on skateboarding days. Fear follows our skateboards. Fear follows our skateboards. Beautiful girl, I want to ride your skateboard. You left your skateboard. You left your skateboard. I want to see your skateboard. I want to see your skateboard. You left your skateboard. Misinformation enters. Misinformation. Good evening, Neighbor Bill. Now, we want to keep this an inclusive channel, and some of you may not know what a skateboard is. Worry not, I'll use my investigative journalist skills to explain the concept thoroughly. Skateboarding, as it exists today, was probably born sometime in the late 1940s or early 1950s. 3. 4. When surfers in California wanted something to do when the waves were flat, the first skateboards were made from roller skates attached to a board. 5. Skateboarding gained in popularity because of surfing. In fact, skateboarding was initially referred to as sidewalk surfing. 6. The first skateboards were handmade from wooden boxes and planks by individuals. Companies started manufacturing skateboards in 1959 as the sports became more popular. But how did these wonderful creations came to be? To answer that, we need to go way back. Oh my fucking god, this is so long! Hold on, oh my god. I need to adjust myself. Oh god, my back. Okay. Moving on. The Big Bang is a... Oh my god, sorry. The Big Bang is a physical theory that describes how the universe expanded from an initial state of high density and temperature. 1. Various cosmological models based on the Big Bang concept explain a broad range of phenomena. 2, 3, 4, including the abundance of light elements, the cosmic microwave background, parentheses CMB, radiation, and large-scale structure. The Big Bang is an American television sitcom created by Chuck Lorre and Bill Prady for CBS. It aired from September 24, 2007 to May 19, 2019. Holy shit, that long? Running for 12 seasons and 279 episodes. 3. The show originally centered on 5 characters living in Pasadena, California. Leonard Hofstadter, what the fuck is his name? Johnny Galecki and Sheldon Cooper, Jim Parsons, both physicists at Caltech who share an apartment. Penny, Kaylee Cuoco, a waitress and aspiring actress who lives across the hall, and Leonard and Sheldon, similarly geeky and socially awkward friends and co-workers. Aerospace engineer Howard Wolowitz, Simon Helberg, and astrophysicist Raj Kuthrapali Kunal Nayar. 4. 5. Over time, supporting characters were promoted to starring roles, including neuroscientist Amy Farrah Fowler, Majin Bialik, microbiologist Bernadette Rostenkowski, Melissa Rock, and comic book store owner Stuart Bloom, Kevin Sussman. Hopefully you found my meat information tidbits entertaining. Tune in next time. Misinformation leaves. Douglas. Since our last meeting, I've heard that the universe I originate from has been taken offline. They wiped my existence from that reality. All my neighbors, David, Patrice, Edgar, they didn't remember who I was. It's a terrible feeling, losing all your associates. But they said they knew better, that the universe would be better without me. So they banished me out of Neighborville. Misinformation enters. Good evening, Neighborville. Misinformation leaves. They were wrong. Their universe became unstable. So unstable that the beloved planes became locked and loaded. Edgar, he became a politician. And David, well, he knows where to sit and grovel eat, that's for sure. The people were swayed. It's tragic. I miss my friends. All the fun times we spent together in Neighborville. Misinformation enters. Good evening, Neighborville. Misinformation leaves. Maybe someday they will realize their error and free me from this eternal prison. It's been quite lonely here. There are no stars, no planets. It's just darkness. This is how I imagine death to feel like. Do you know that blind people don't see darkness? They see nothing. Try closing one of your eyes. You don't see black in that eye. You just don't see from it at all. It's as if you never had that eye to begin with. That, but for both eyes, is what blindness is like. And that's what I think death is like. Anyways, while being in the void, I had a lot of free time on my hands to pursue gaming. I particularly started really focusing on my FPS skills. TF2 is my game of choice, but there's one thing that annoys me severely. I'll not push off this topic anymore. Jesus, that was a tongue twister. Let me talk about random critical hits. First off, they're literally the worst thing to happen in any game. Like, how come that I, the better player, lose to peasant RNG? If you ask me, I get rid of them all together. They're a detriment to not only the game, but humanity itself. It started off in a goofy shooter game like TF2, but trust me, it'll end all of us. It'll end you. It'll end your family. It'll end me. We're all going to be ended by the skilled crit rocket coming our way from a free-to-play. Like, seriously, let's think this through for a second from a critical gameplay perspective. If I, the player, have a relatively big advantage on a player by counterplay, then I, said player, should win the encounter by having better offense, neutral, and defensive play. It makes no sense then why the objectively worst player wins the encounter by simply clicking M1. Like, great. Now my day is ruined and I'm pooping my pants. TF2, for the most part, has a great sense of balance that has been able to keep itself stable over the years. Sure, you got items that break the game's pace much like the Diamondback, Kunai, or even Sniper himself, but for the most part, the game's alright in its balance. Misinformation enters. Misinformation. The Diamondback is a community-created promotional secondary weapon for the spy. It is based on the Diamondback 357 from the video game Deus Ex Human Revolution. Oh my god, for the longest time I thought that was Deus Ex Machina title. God damn it, I'm stupid. A futuristic metal revolver with a black grip, front side, and cylinder. The Diamondback has the ability to store up to 35 critical hits for later use. One critical hit is stored for each enemy backstab or for each building that is destroyed while being sapped, regardless of whether or not the sapper is what actually destroys the building. However, any stored critical hits are lost upon death, and any buildings destroyed with the spy sapper attached while he is dead does not grant any critical hits. In addition, The weapon's base damage is 15% lower than the revolver, and it cannot roll for random critical hits. Misinformation leads. Oh my god, I'm running out of breath! Douglas. The classes for the most part are designed to be able to counter each other in any encounter, and therefore promote gameplay diversity in classes and teamwork. You know, the game called Team Fortress 2 requires teamwork. Yeah, crazy. Anyway, it makes no sense why therefore a pushing and coordinated team should die to a singular random critical hit. You're telling me that just because someone got a good roll on the RNG dice, they get to win over me and my better aim and skills? I want you to seriously understand what I'm saying because I'm fed up. I don't care anymore. This game is horrible and has been able to still be alive thanks to the incompetence of the game's anti-cheat. Thank God that they decided to publish the SDK, that's Source Development Kit, code, and now everyone can do whatever they want and publish it. You know what? Screw this. I'm going to code the SDK code into having no random critical hits. It'll be like TF2, but better. A better TF2 for all of us. I'm tired of being bound to the shackles of random critical hits. I'll name this Team Fortress 2 Refortressed. Misinformation enters. Good evening, neighbor Bill. Misinformation leaves. Douglas. Misinformation enters. Misinformation. Good evening, neighbor Bill. Misinformation leaves. Douglas. Are you aware of the concept of parallel universes? I've explored many. It passes the time, but none of them feel like they truly exist. Some have such radical changes towards status quo, while for others, you could spend a lifetime not knowing you're outside of your own. Even the plans you defend your lawn with have many variants between realities. So the pea shooter has many forms. Fire, ice, electric, shoot, even shadow. But recently there's been new plans that really need to be added to your defense. So there's 3, and the first one is Bendy. He shoots wrenches. Misinformation enters. Oh, that's sick. But why not ink? Misinformation leaves. Douglas. Wait, that's actually a good idea. But look at this pop me pulled. Misinformation enters. Oh, people should actually use that. Misinformation leaves. Douglas. Yeah, zombies will stand no chance. But look at this. It's Wolfie. Ontario's wolf. Misinformation enters. What? Misinformation leaves. I'm just kidding. Actually, look at this one. Misinformation enters. Is that an Enderman? Misinformation leaves. Douglas. Yeah, it's an Ender Pea. It shoots Minecraft blocks. Misinformation enters. Good evening, neighbor Bill. Misinformation leaves. Douglas. But I personally prefer our own reality, and it has horrendous creatures such as the sponge. I get chills out my spine whenever I think of it. I remember him meddling with my soul. But then again, all he wanted was a friend. And deep down, isn't that what we all want? To have the best day ever, before we perish? I hear he organizes those annually, his little group hangouts, and that's kind of the only time I ever get to speak with you. Even though this year there's nothing, I'm only speaking to you because of a miracle. I was wondering if he'd prepare another one this year. You know, last year's wasn't all that great. I get it. SpongeBob spent all his time trying to craft his best day ever, that he kinda lost his magic along the way. Me, personally, I wouldn't have invited that Gordon fella. Asking such preposterous riddles. Hate people who waste my time like that. Like, I just want to finish the puzzles and get my rewards. I don't want this guy speaking to me the entire time. Ugh. Misinformation enters. Misinformation. Good evening, neighbor Bill. Misinformation leaves. Douglas. Have you heard of the ancient Egypt theme? He has these harps at the beginning. They're very relaxing. The wonderful piano melodic lines just spark an itch in my belly. Do you know that Laura Shigihara, the composer of Plants vs. Zombies 1, also composed the ancient Egypt theme? I think it's better than Empire Sea's music. It uses very stereotypical instruments. It insists upon itself. There's what? Accordions, harmonicas, bassoon, blown bottles, IX Band 2 FM Bellish. Why such an overuse of instruments? It's I as always say, less is always more. The ancient Egypt track understands this. Even the Chinese developers agree with me. They included it in every world soundtrack for a reason. Unfortunately, they've been taken over by more generic instruments. If I could play an instrument, it would be a harp, but not a typical harp. I always dreamt of plucking strings that are made out of human tissue. Think of the sound. It would be so visceral and guttural. Just like when you use Emperor's Plywood, you hear all the fart sound effects overlap. Misinformation enters. Good sunset, neighbor Bill! Misinformation leaves. Douglas. Hey, by the way, I know I've been talking to you for a bit at this point, so I'll give you something cool. Okay, check this out. https www.youtube.com/watch?v equals cm0qaxi9tha. I hope you like that track. It's one of my favorites. I'm sure for some of you, it may bring you back to a more magical moment in life. For others, you may be thinking of another game, like Plants vs. Zombies, Battle for Neighborville, or Plants vs. Zombies, Match. I asked to appear on that one, but my calls were never picked up. You ever feel rejection like that? Misinformation enters. Good sunset, neighbor Bill! Misinformation leaves. Douglas. It stinks. But at least I'm here now. Once a year. And it's not so bad. It could be better. Could be worse though. I asked the zombie with the big brain if he was willing to add us to Holiday Mashup. A very cool world. I like its themes. He said no. I get it. He has his reasons. But he didn't even want to give our little absorbent friend a chance. His work would fit nicely in the chaotic realm of the holidays. I mean, if Secord can be there. Misinformation enters. Misinformation. Good sunset, neighbor Bill! Misinformation leaves. Why can't we be there? Do you celebrate Children's Day? Or a Harvest Festival, whatever that means. I'm sure they could make room for us in that schedule. I wouldn't mind taking over for the levels during the holiday, like all the other little guys that have appeared recently. Misinformation enters. Misinformation. Good sunset, neighbor Bill! Misinformation leaves. Douglas. Always remember, we were the first. We were patient zero. And yet, we get none of the recognition. Misinformation enters. Misinformation. Good sunset, neighbor Bill! Misinformation leaves. Douglas. Hashtag rescue the sponge lore. I mean, you've campaigned to get costumes into the game. Costumes for a holiday at that. Maybe we can campaign for us to get a chance to shine someday. Hashtag rescue the sponge lore. Oh my god, we're only on page 13 of 21, by the way. Jesus Christ. Whew, okay, we're getting there. Alright, continuing on. Perhaps it's because, as some call us, we are not canon. Whatever canon means. But I suppose we're not that. For the people who care about that sort of thing. I felt the need to, clarify. None of this is canon, for those interested. Bleh. My existence is real to myself and myself only, but I do hope I can exist within your heart. Misinformation enters. Good sunset, neighbor Bill! Misinformation leaves. Oh, actually, I remember something now. I know what's really annoying. What really gets my blood boiling? Greed. I've been collecting these digital creature cards recently on a phone app. Just something to pass the time, really. Yet the company running the game lowered the cards you get per pack from 10 to 7. Why they do this is beyond me. Perhaps that little mafia imp is behind this? He's just like a jolly fellow if you look past his goons. But he took away my creatures, man. Now I can't complete my collection as quickly. This level of greed reminds me of the beings that destroyed my world. Corporate greed is evil. At least the game is still fun. For now. Misinformation enters. Good sunset, neighbor Bill. Misinformation leaves. Douglas. But I suppose you don't care for my gaming ventures. I've already gone on long enough about my crippling addiction to Team Fortress 2. You know, I have hobbies outside of that. I'm actually a real estate manager on the side. I really had the distinct pleasure of acquiring a piece of land in Egypt. And I must say, the process is rather uncomplicated by local standards. What they do for you in a manner that is both efficient and almost ceremonious. Misinformation enters. Misinformation. Good night, neighbor Bill. Misinformation leaves. Douglas. Is simply hand over the property itself. Misinformation enters. Good heavens, good sir, might I implore you to calm yourself for but a moment. Here you are sad, idly toying with whatever trinket you found is becoming most vexing. Pray you could not take a brief respite and cease with this restless fidgeting. Good night, neighbor Bill. Misinformation leaves. Douglas. Hey, I'm not fidgeting. I'm just a little worried. Douglas says all flustered. I didn't even say that, by the way. That's literally on the script here. Douglas, 2 points. Douglas says all flustered. Fuck whoever wrote this. Oh my god. Douglas. Perhaps this unique opportunity allows me to express myself. I only get one chance to speak to you yearly. And who knows if that'll continue into the future. What to talk about? Oh, right. Have you heard of Hammerroot? Misinformation enters. I forgot about this. Misinformation enters. Misinformation. Hammerroot is a plant in Plants vs. Zombies 2, introduced in the 12.0.1 update. It is a 3x1 AoE melee attack plant and is able to charge if there are no zombies in its attack area. Dealing more damage next time it attacks, Hammerroot can instantly destroy grid items, barrels, and stones. Hammerroot appears to be based on the Hammer Orchid, any of the 10 species of orchid in the genus Dracea. However, its name is a portmanteau of hammer and fruit, which is inaccurate since it's based on a flower. Plant food effect. When given plant food, Hammerroot slams its hammer 3 times in a row, dealing increasing damage with each hit. Releases shockwaves at the last hit that travels in 3 directions. Enforcement effect. When boosted by Enforcement, Hammerroot will deal an additional 50 damage, increases by 20 damage for each level. With its normal attacks, an additional 200 damage, increases by 200 damage for each level. With its plant food attacks, and its charge time is reduced by 1 second. Level upgrades. Level, seed packets, coins, upgrades, sunk cost, recharge, starting recharge, toughness, damage, asterisk, plant food damage, power symbol? I think that's how you say it. 1, 0, 0, 200, 10 seconds, 8 seconds, 400 damage, 150 damage, 500 damage. 1, 50, 0, 200, 10 seconds, 8 seconds, 400 damage, 150 damage, 500 damage. Oh my god. 3, 455, 52, 2235, 13 seconds, 83 seconds, 1200 damage, 150 damage, 2200 damage. 9, 4,785, 32, 2,228, 4 seconds, 213 seconds, 330 damage, 190 damage, 597 damage, 99, 999, 62, 2,228, 0 seconds, 0.02 seconds, 3.14 damage. Googleplex times 2 to the power of 136,279,841 damage, 597 damage. Oh my god, I'm running out of breath. We're 35 minutes into this. Oh my god. 927, 8E9, 12B2, 435I828 minutes until the fog. Seconds. 0.02 seconds. August 4th, 2037, 9:37 a.m. Damage. I need more damage. Trivia. It's one of the two plants in the entire franchise who is based on Hammer Orchid, the other being Hammer Flower from the Chinese version. Coincidentally, they're both melee plants. Good night, Neighbor Bill! Douglas. Thank you for the useful insight, misinformation. Damn it, I forgot to say misinformation leaves. I'm gonna say that again. Good night, Neighbor Bill! Misinformation leaves. Douglas. Thank you for the useful insight, misinformation. Now I don't have to explain what I'm talking about. Yeah, so this plant is kind of stinky. That's all I wanted to say. Misinformation enters. Good night, Neighbor Bill. Misinformation leaves. Alright, hold on. I'm gonna take a break for a moment. Fill my lungs with air. Okay. Okay. I'm almost done. After this, AV will let me out of the dungeon. Hopefully. Here we go. My god, I might throw this sword. Jesus Christ, I'm gonna get a drink after this. Douglas. You know, there's one world I would really like to see in PvC 2. You may have heard of it. Sky City, as it's frequently called. Such an awesome world. Misinformation enters. Misinformation. Sky City, Pinyin, Tiankong Si Sheng, is the 9th world in the Chinese version of Plants vs. Zombies 2 and second Chinese exclusive one. The main feature of this world is that zombies will no longer rush into the player's house, but instead, they will attack Crazy Day's ship until it is completely destroyed. Good night, Neighbor Bill. Misinformation leaves. Douglas. Why, thank you. It's so cool. I really want to see it added. The developers keep saying it's not possible. I don't believe that. I believe they are telling tall tales. Do you know what kind of tech they have? They could do it. They're just lazy. If they're worried about it not fitting as a world, perhaps they could do it as an epic realm. They introduced these for the hypothermic hollows. I wasn't a fan of that one. Regardless, it is a good feature to use for the Sky City. If the name is considered off, perhaps they could rename it to Assault Airspace. It'd be really cool. If they're concerned about it taking up too much space in Trouble Lock's tourist trap, they could make it its own separate island. I'd also like to see all my favorite plants: asparagus, horsebean, saucer, pineapple, loquat, and maybe even Gatling pea. For the zombies, I would like to see all of them, except for the missile launcher. Always found those things kinda annoying. Misinformation enters. Misinformation. Missile zombie, Penguin, Feidan Yangxi, is the 9th zombie encountered in Sky City. In the stage, he will randomly appear in the lower right corner of the screen. He cannot be targeted by plants. In order to destroy him, the player must swipe him away with their finger, rapidly in a similar fashion to Power Toss. If the player does not act fast enough, he will shoot a missile onto a ground tile and destroy the player's plants, on that tile and the surrounding tiles, as well as doing huge damage to the ship. Good night, Neighbor Bill. Misinformation leaves. Douglas. Thanks. Anyways, maybe they could add some new zombies. Not sure why. I like the idea of a zombie that shoots missiles. I think it'd also be cool if they made a new ambush zombie. They could also tie it to the general guy. It makes a lot of sense if you know what I mean. Alas, they won't do that. They'll just keep using lazy excuses, Like how it's supposedly impossible to code. No, it isn't. They lie. They're trying to hoard all the ones and zeros for themselves. Well, I'm entirely made out of ones and zeros, and I find that quite offensive. Misinformation enters. Misinformation. Good night, neighbor Bill. Misinformation leaves. Douglas. Do you hear a storm oncoming, perhaps? Misinformation enters. Misinformation. Thunder sound effect play. 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 Good night, neighbor Bill. Misinformation leaves. Douglas. Oh no. Misinformation enters. Misinformation. Good night, neighbor Bill. Misinformation leaves. Douglas. She's glitching out. Misinformation enters. Misinformation. Good night, neighbor Bill. Misinformation leaves. Douglas. The lift should fix her ASAP. Misinformation enters. Misinformation. Good night, neighbor Bill. Collisionous Carnival 916 is the 16th level of Collisionous Carnival. Reflourished.fandom.com/wiki/collisionous_carnival. The player must survive a gargantuan attack without any lawnmowers. When this level is finished for the first time, the player receives by the way, this is a typo, a key for unlocking. Misinformation leaves. Douglas. You know, speaking of that darned carnival, I can't even bring myself to play it. I mean, it's just circus zombies. I've seen countless realities where those are used, and they're interesting in none of them. I bet that collisionous carnival thing is just using another trampoline gimmick too. Oh, let me guess. They're called trampolines here instead. Yeah, original. I've seen tons of other realities do it. Tons of other realities. Misinformation enters. Good night, neighbor Bill. Misinformation leaves. Yes, now I remember. The reason why I can peer into other realities. Misinformation enters. Good night, neighbor Bill. Misinformation leaves. Douglas. Oh my, I remember it now. Listen, we need to talk. Something strange happened after we defeated Yellow Square. I experienced transcending. Not sure how or when, but I felt like I could fight anywho. Felt like I could escape into greater realms with many possibilities. But something was wrong. Someone is watching. I'm not sure who it is. Gotta keep an eye out. Anyways, I felt like I could fight big leaders and primordial hunters, along with hatred-driven generals, sweaty gamers, greediest mob bosses, luckiest man, nasty nannies, and some peace-going trio? Dunno, pal. Well, this time I felt alone. With no friends after that defeat, I didn't have anyone to talk about it. Are these... Wait. Are these the fabled NPCs? The ones I mentioned before? Oh no. I see what's happening here. I really was Patient Zero. They're replacing me. Misinformation enters. Good night, neighbor Bill. Misinformation leaves. All this time, I was just a guinea pig for some kind of custom character creation system who could speak to you. Misinformation enters. Good night, neighbor Bill. Misinformation leaves. Oh no. What am I? Misinformation enters. Good night, neighbor Bill. Misinformation leaves. Douglas. What am I? Misinformation enters. Misinformation. Good night, neighbor Bill. Misinformation leaves. Douglas. I realize now. In the grand scheme of things, I really am unimportant. My purpose all along was to be a testing ground. A joke. No wonder they lit my original universe. Even now, I faintly hear someone mocking me. It wasn't the sponge. It's the world. And now I'm a bother to you, aren't I? It's all I've ever truly been. You're probably just here for the piñata party rewards, aren't you? That's what this was really all about. Gets lonely in my world. Very lonely. Can you stay a little longer? 2 hours? I'll give you 10,000 coins from the piñata party rewards. Please. 10,000 coins. 1 hour. Misinformation enters. Good night, Neighborville. Misinformation leaves. Douglas. Ugh, never mind. Never expected you to take the offer anyways. I hope you enjoy your time. This part is one of the classics I've heard. It is very well made and designed. I'm sure SpongeBob will have loved to be here, but alas, my time has come. I have to return. I don't know if you'll ever hear from me again. I don't know if I'll have the chance to ever reach out again. Goodbye, friend. Douglas leaves. Misinformation enters. Good sunrise, neighbor Bill. Misinformation leaves. Okay, I'm done. I did it. I didn't want take. Let's fucking go. I didn't want.